Oh, hey, before this episode starts, I just wanted to tell you about something that is starting tomorrow. We have a fun little pre-Thanksgiving challenge for you. It is the We Made It challenge. You have the chance to win one of two $50 Amazon gift cards if you try out the turkey brine recipe from my site on some chicken, just to test it and see if you want to use it for Thanksgiving. Or if you don't want to do the turkey, there's also an air fryer Brussels sprouts recipe that you can do instead. If you want more details about this cook along challenge, We Made It challenge, head to cookthestory.com/challenge. I cannot wait to cook along with you this month. Okay, now our regularly scheduled episode. It's time for ROTD Weekend. I've been sending out some new tips and scaled down recipes to people on my email list who've told me that they're interested in cooking for two or for smaller households. And the other day I got a response to my email that had a pasta e fagioli soup recipe scaled down to for two people. And I got this email about the email. I got a response to my email that made me, well, I guess it made me laugh at first, maybe sigh really. The email said, "You haven't cooked very much if you're having trouble having recipes. Soup, come on." Now, I didn't take that too seriously because I know that we all have different strengths and goals in the kitchen, and what's easy for one person isn't necessarily easy for someone else, and not everyone realizes that. And I do know that a lot of people are liking these emails because they are clicking and replying, so it's all good, but it got me thinking. So the person who wrote that email is right. Making soup for two isn't hard exactly, but there are some quirks to it, right? If you're doing like a kitchen sink style soup where you're throwing in little bits and pieces that you have on hand, you are almost definitely going to end up with 6 servings instead of 2 or 3 because you had a whole can of beans, a can of tomatoes, half an onion, that leftover chicken, a little pasta, and then suddenly you've got a full pot. Or if you're trying to make the whole soup in just one pot because you don't want to dirty a lot of dishes, it's just for 2 people, you don't want a lot of effort, right? So you cook the pasta or the rice right in the broth of the soup, and then it soaks up all your liquid and turns it into a stew, and then you either eat the stew or you add more liquid, and just like that you have more than you wanted. And then I think even if you're carefully having an actual recipe, like you have a recipe there and you're dividing everything in half, you're left with all these weird odds and ends or decisions to make really. You've got a half can of beans, a half can of tomatoes, half a bell pepper staring at you from the fridge, so you have this dilemma where you can either have leftovers by making too much, or you end up with all these little bits and pieces in your fridge for making just the right amount. So it's not really that straightforward, right? Then there's also the other issue that a lot of times I think soup doesn't feel like a small batch idea. It's not something that you make just for 2 people, or maybe we don't think of it as something that you make for just 2 people. It's more of a big pot occasion, like lasagna, big pan, or a big batch of chili. Soup is one of those things that we think of for a big group, a big pot, not for just 1 or 2 people. Really, just open a can if you only want 1 or 2 servings. You know what I mean? Unless, of course, you're like my mom, who I'd say leans more into the let's plan for leftovers camp. And she'll make a full pot, and then she and my dad have it for dinner one night. Maybe she freezes some, and then they eat the rest for lunches throughout the week. And it for sure gets eaten up, especially if my nephew shows up to join them for lunch one day. He loves soup. So yeah, you can make too much, but if you're trying to just make a small amount, it's actually tricky. So my response to my kind cooking friend who emailed me, I totally get your point. Soup might not seem like something that's difficult to cut in half, but there are still several considerations. And my goal here is to do some of that thinking for you to make things easier so you don't have to be thinking about all of that. And I have an example. So that pasta e fagioli recipe, the original one called for a can of beans drained, and instead in this scaled down recipe, I'm calling for frozen lima beans or frozen soybeans. You can have a bag of those in the freezer, just take out what you need, put the rest in the freezer, and you don't end up with that sad can of beans tinted with plastic wrap in your fridge. I also skip the canned tomatoes in this one and just use a squeeze of tomato paste from a tube, so you're not opening any can for that tomato part. It's easy to measure from the tube, easy to store, no half cans left behind. If you've never bought the tube of tomato tomato paste before. In my grocery store, it is where the canned tomato paste is, but higher up on the shelf, and mine comes in a yellow box and the tube is inside. But yeah, so it's that kind of like little tips and tweaks to the recipe that make it more convenient when you want to scale it down. So yeah, cutting a recipe for soup in half is easy, but it's even easier with my recipe and my tips because I've thought this through and the results are more efficient and more mindful. You get to make that soup and have all that cozy comfort and not have anything left in your fridge. So then, thinking of mindfulness and not judging others in the kitchen, this week's interview is a reprise of a conversation with one of my favorite food podcasters, Becky Hadeed. Her podcast is the Storied Recipe Podcast. Becky is such a thoughtful host. She listens deeply to her guests and really draws out their passion for food. If you love hearing people talk about what they cook and why, you have got to listen to Becky. Her most recent episode, I just love the title. It's called The Boisterous Landlady and Her Transformative Rajma Chawal. It dives into this rich, stewy kidney bean dish from India. And while it's not a soup, it's got that same cozy, comforting vibe. So definitely go and listen to that. And listen to my conversation with Becky. We are talking about a dish that's loved by her family that has become a true favorite here at my house too. It's actually even one of the few things that Marty not only loves eating, but also enjoys cooking. Okay, let's listen to my conversation with Becky Hadeed from the Storied Recipe Podcast. Hi, Becky. Welcome back.
Christine, it is such an honor and always so much fun to be back with you. So thank you.
Oh, I love talking with you too. So for people who are listening who do not know, you have an amazing website and podcast they should be listening to. Can you tell everybody about that?
Yes, the name of my podcast is The Storied Recipe, and I like to say it's a podcast about food, culture, and love, because as you know, food is so much more than what nourishes us. It's the way that people connect over a shared table. They connect to previous generations, and they connect across cultures. And so I have guests on from all walks of life. Some are food professionals. Most are not. I actually try to limit the number of food professionals I have on. I have everyday people. I'll have on fiction writers, just honestly, anyone I want to talk to. They come on, we talk about whatever they want to talk about, and we use food as a gateway into that conversation because food opens doors, a lot of doors.
Oh, it so does. And your episodes, they're long and they really have depth. They go into it. By the end, I feel like I know the person. I like it and their history and their feelings and their food and their food.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm a therapist through food.
I love that. Oh, food therapy. There we go. So, Becky, have you brought a surprise recipe for me today?
I have. Yes.
What is it?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell a funny little story first because we'll see if you can guess. And there is a clue, actually, and for people listening, Christine and I were chatting a little bit before we started the recording, and this recipe has actually come up today. I was kind of shocked. I tried not to give it away. I tried to keep a poker face.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So see if you could figure out what it is. I couldn't on the fly. One of my very first episodes, my inaugural episode, I decided to interview my 4 kids and talk to them about food and what it meant to them and cooking together in the kitchen. And so I interviewed my son, Marcus, who's 17 now, and I think he was 13 at the time. And I just asked the simple question, what's your favorite recipe that I make? And he said that gray stuff. Which does not sound very appetizing. I was like, the gray stuff? And he said, yeah, the gray stuff with the meat in it. And you put it over noodles.
Oh, beef stroganoff. Yes, we did talk about that today. Oh, that's funny. And it is gray, right?
It is great.
Other gravy dishes have like brown gravy almost, but you add that sour
Right.
cream or something usually, and it makes it that other color. How? I haven't ever thought about that before. That's very weird. And the things that they notice, right, kids?
I know. It was probably one of the least flattering ways anyone had ever referred to my food, but he was saying it was his favorite. So in the moment, I just kept going, what? But so my mom used to call this poor man's stroganoff because it's, a really good stroganoff is going to have, chunks of stew beef and all of this. No, this is hamburger. And actually, I make it with only 5 ingredients. I've simplified even what my mom does, and it is really very quick and very simple. And I actually find it's one of those things that I love to cook with herbs and onions, the base of everything. But the more I simplify this, the more my family seems to love it. And now my youngest just turned 10 on Monday, and I asked him what he wanted for his birthday dinner. He had any option in the world, even that we could go out, and he said, "I want stroganoff."
Wow. Oh, that is a calling card. I know what you mean about adding to it. So I don't know where you're going with this, but I think it's going to be vaguely similar to something my grandmother used to make that she called hamburger hash, which was ground beef flour made into gravy sort of thing. And I make that, and when I start adding to it, I add bell peppers. I'm like, why are there all these textures in here? It needs to be meat and sauce.
It is kind of the dumbing down of food, but sometimes that is what comfort food is. It's just simple, and everything else can go in a salad on the side.
Yeah. You know what? My boyfriend Marty makes beef stroganoff for us. It's one of the 3 things that he makes, and he does. Not a classic stroganoff and not this poor man stroganoff. He does the Campbell's mushroom soup stroganoff.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's good too. And again, that one has lots of mushrooms, but other than that, meat and a piece of meat and it's this on some noodles, and everybody is happy. The kids are getting seconds, which they don't always do if they're feeling picky. It just is great, satisfying, comforting, good.
Well, yeah, the truth is Campbell's would not have made a fortune and been in business. So fun fact, my great grandfather, I grew up knowing my great grandmother. She lived to 103. Now I never met her husband, my great grandfather, but he during the Depression was a Campbell soup salesman and kept his job during the Depression. So there's no way that Campbell's would have lasted for all this time and made such a fortune if they hadn't figured out the formula of what people actually like. And it tastes good. And we can sort of make fun of it all we want and do it our own way. Mine doesn't have Campbell's soup in it, but there's a reason. There's a reason people keep buying it. And it's because it tastes good.
Yeah, no, it really does. I'm so impressed by it. Okay, so all these different stroganoffs out there, you have your family's favorite. Where do you start with making this?
Yes. Okay, so I start by throwing a big slab of ground beef in a pan, and I don't worry about if it's the lean or if it's not, because I'm going to keep a little bit of fat in the pan anyways, actually. And then I season mine actually with the Montreal steak seasoning because it just has a little bit of the extra, maybe I think it has a little garlic in it. So it's very salty, very peppery, and a little bit extra. And I just sort of, I don't think I could even tell you, maybe let's just say a tablespoon per pound.
So wait, I have a question. So as you said earlier, we were talking before we recorded because you and I like to talk. So we talked for 40 minutes before. And you mentioned Montreal seasoning then too, but Montreal chicken seasoning.
Yeah,
so
I use them both.
And you use them for different things. There's
definitely.
I have recipes for copycats on my site, and I did the blends a long time ago, but I don't really cook with them. So what is
they're very different. The chicken, I am going to guess, I could be wrong, but I'm going to guess the chicken has a chicken bouillon type thing in it. I think that's what gives it the yellow, and it definitely has some herbs in it. So they're both salty. I mean, that's what fundamentally we like is salt, right? And so they're both salty. The Montreal steak is very coarse. And so again, I'm going to guess, I actually haven't even read the ingredients on the back. So somebody can tell me how ignorant I am, but I'm going to guess it's coarse salt, like kosher. Definitely it has a very peppery Like it's definitely got a little zing to it. And I'm going to guess like a garlic powdery. So I think the Montreal steak is simpler. It's basically just putting salt and pepper together with a little something. The Montreal chicken, like I said, I'm guessing it's very yellow, and I'm guessing it's like a bouillon because it's also salty, but has it has a chickeny flavor. I don't think it would taste right to put a chicken.
Right.
I think you could put the Montreal steak on chicken. I don't think you could go the other way. I think it would taste very strange.
That's so interesting. Okay. And so with you and Montreal steak seasoning, do you cook with it a lot? Like you've got it like.
No. What do I season with it? So I used to season hamburgers with it, but then I actually felt like my hamburger, I like a very well seasoned, but very simple hamburger. So I just do salt and pepper on my hamburgers. Definitely the stroganoff. And also when I do pot roasts and like stews, like slow, when I braise, slow cook things, I think it's just a very simple starter. Like I brown the meat with the steak seasoning on top and throw it in some broth, and that's all your flavors right there.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so we've got ground beef in a pan, and you've thrown in a tablespoon or so of Montreal steak seasoning.
Yeah, or more.
Or more.
But I love salty food, and it is salty. So keep that in mind.
Okay, great. Okay, then what?
Okay, so then I just brown it. And so I do it at the beginning so that the meat really gets seasoned as it goes. I don't add it to the sauce afterwards because you want your actual meat to be seasoned, you know? Right. So I stir it in, get seasons as it goes. And then once, you know, everything is cooked through, I drain it off, but I do keep a little bit of fat in there because we're going to make, you know, a roux. We're going to make a white sauce essentially. And instead of adding more fat to the pan, I'm just going to use the fat that's already in there, which is what you guessed. This is your mom's hamburger hash.
Yeah,
you know?
Very similar. They put milk in there, so I'm guessing you don't put milk, but that's it's very, very similar. So far, very similar. Okay, so yes, the fat in there, and then you're going in with flour.
I just sprinkle. I mean, so the proportions I always learn for white sauce is just like you sort of like a quarter cup flour, a quarter cup fat, and then like 2 cups of whatever liquid you're using. So those are just the proportions I learned when I started, but I don't know. So I go, when I made it Monday, I made 3 pounds of beef and I did a half cup. So that's less than the proportion that I'm going with, but really you're going to kind of work it out as you go along. And then I also put in like a half a block of cream cheese.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, right? You can see why people like it. So that's so I put that in and just sort of stir it all together until it gets really, really thick. And then just slowly pour in beef broth. And I'm going to do that keeping an eye on it because again, since I, you know, like on Monday I did 3 pounds. I'm just honestly, whatever is in the package of beef, I'm doing it with that. And so I'm not super careful, but I just keep an eye. It is possible for it to get too runny and then it's not going to thicken back up much more because you've already got the flour in it. So I just go till it's a nice texture and then I dollop a little extra sour cream in for a little more bite and that's it. That goes on top of noodles.
So where did the cream cheese idea come from? Like, have you just always been doing that or like when?
No, I honestly don't remember. And I have to somehow in my mind, like, you know, on a test where there was multiple choice and you didn't really know the answer, you just always went with your gut because it was almost always right. Like my gut is telling me this is somehow related to the Pioneer Woman. Oh. Like something, somehow, somewhere.
That meshes.
It sounds
for me.
right.
That makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't remember. I do think it was like I was trying to remember how much. I mean, like I said, I've made this forever. Maybe I didn't have sour cream once.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it could be life changing. Like I'm like, yep, she's just gonna talk about making hamburger gravy, and which of course I want to say this too. Like doing this show, you'll appreciate this. Like people come with simple things or they come with complicated things, and I learn stuff, and I'm fascinated. Like every time, I'm just like, oh wow, that's how you make mashed potatoes. I had no idea that anybody did that. It's super cool.
It is so interesting the way everybody does something different. And yeah, I think there's a good chance it was an accident, or I just didn't have something, or maybe it was the Pioneer Woman because she does love her cream cheese. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, I love it. That sounds amazing. And then you would put this on like egg noodles or any
egg
kind.
Noodles. Yeah.
Egg noodles.
Yeah. Just the dry kind, not the like when I make chicken noodle soup, I get the good egg noodles, the flour dumpling kind of ones, but this is just the curled, simple.
Yeah.
That's it.
It sounds amazing. Well, is this recipe on your site somewhere, or this is just
so funny enough? You know how when we were chatting earlier, you were like, now somebody's not going to actually, it's like one of my top 5 recipes.
Oh.
And because I did the research, and it's specifically a 5-ingredient stroganoff recipe. And do you know what the key is? When I was doing the keyword research, a large number of people were looking for a stroganoff without mushrooms recipe. So I kind of am appealing to the people who are looking for a super simple, because I have it as 5-ingredient stroganoff. And then the without mushrooms is what actually brings the people to my site, because it's always interesting to me that people can't just not put the mushrooms in, but they are looking for a recipe with no mushrooms, which I will provide to them.
Yeah, no, I love nerding out about keyword research and figuring things out. But so I have a stroganoff recipe that it's not one of my top performers, but it does well. And it is stroganoff using leftover roast beef. So similar, people are searching for leftover beef stroganoff or something. And so it's like, and I think unlike the can't you just leave out the mushrooms, because we would think that they want to know like how to make that roux process. I think how to do that when they're not cooking the meat first. You know what I mean? Interesting.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me wonder, back to your last question, was there a time where I Googled, like, is there a time where I went through my fridge and saw like this aging block of cream cheese and Googled stroganoff with cream cheese and some recipe came to my rescue that like I helped some poor blogger's numbers that day.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're right. Everybody's sort of looking for a way to make this with what they have. And I think you could argue, I remember I answered this question. I don't remember what I said, but I think you could argue without the mushrooms, it's not stroganoff. But when I researched, I think it's the sour cream that sort of is like defining, is it stroganoff or is it not? But of course, these lines are so blurry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's very like what counts as, it's like, another thing you and I talked about briefly before. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. We just had our whole other conversation. We were talking about briefly the Sporkful podcast.
Oh yeah.
One of his episodes is about like what counts as a grilled cheese sandwich. Like what can you add into a grilled cheese sandwich and have it still be considered like tomato? Yes. Yeah. Bacon. Yes. Tomato and bacon both. Maybe ham, maybe like mushrooms. No, that's no longer a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, these questions, like it goes back to the what's a sport. That's one that my family always liked to talk about growing up.
Is curling a sport?
Can it be individual? Yeah.
If you're drinking beer while playing it, does it count?
Right.
Oh, this is so great, Becky. Well, I will definitely link to this recipe for everyone, and they can go and see it on your site. Can you remind everybody where they can find you?
Yep, just thestoriedrecipe.com. Everything you're going to want to find is right there. The podcast, the recipes, a little bit more about me, all of it. Yep.
And beautiful photography.
Yeah, a print shop as well. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with it all. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so lovely talking to you every time.
Always so fun. Thank you.
Am I right? Becky is amazing, and beef stroganoff for the win. I will link in the show notes to this podcast episode to Becky's recipe for beef stroganoff with no mushrooms, but with cream cheese. For sure I will. I will also link to my leftover roast beef stroganoff that I mentioned for you. And I have a beef stroganoff with mushroom soup recipe and a beef stroganoff burger. Oh gosh, yes, I do. And I've told you about this one recently, the meatball stroganoff recipe. I love this one for a quick dinner because you can use your own homemade frozen meatballs that are already cooked, or you can buy the ones from the grocery store that are already cooked, and then it comes together so quickly for a weeknight dinner. And like I said, Marty loves his stroganoff. My kids do too. So you know that all of these are in constant rotation in my house. Sometimes even Marty is the one making them. What a treat for me. Okay, so what have I got going on in my kitchen this week? This is a slower week for me. I am actually just doing 2 recipes that I'm working on. They are both the small household for 2 kinds of recipes, and I'm working on some really easy fish tacos and a recipe that I am temporarily at least calling faux Thai soup, spelled F-A-U-X, which makes me laugh because, of course, a lot of people pronounce the Vietnamese soup that's spelled P-H-O. They pronounce it pho, but it's supposed to be pronounced pho, but this is a Thai soup, and so I'm putting pho before it. I don't know. It makes me laugh, so maybe it makes other people laugh too. I will probably change the title before it goes public. But yeah, so I'm working on this really, really quick and easy little soup recipe that has some Thai flavors in it. Then as to what is going live on the websites this week, well, I'm actually going to tell you about something that has already gone live just the other day that I forgot to mention last week. So I have a chicken noodle soup for 2 recipe that has gone up live on the Cookful. The link to that will be in the show notes for you. And that is very similar to that pasta fagioli I was telling you about. It has been thoughtfully and mindfully scaled down to 2, so you can make just the amount that you want. I will say it is envisioned as 2 hearty servings, so you might go back and get an extra little scoop. So that is already up on the sites. And then what is going new this week? Oh, I'm very excited about this. We have that recipe I've told you about that is being sponsored by Coleman All Natural Meats. This is a perfect recipe for the fall season. It's a beautiful side dish. It's a sausage stuffing made with a mild, sweet Italian sausage, ground pork. I used the Coleman brand, really nice flavors of fennel and anise in there. And you mix that with some ciabatta cubes, just cubed up ciabatta bread, and some fennel seed and rosemary. And then that gets stuffed into these little gala apple halves and baked. Oh, there's fontina in the stuffing too. A little bit of cheese in there. Anyhow, that goes in and is baked, and it's just like sweet and savory. And then you drizzle it at the end with a little bit of honey, a little bit of kosher salt, and some fresh rosemary. They are really pretty, really delicious. Perfect for the fall. That is going live on Cook the Story on Monday. And then, as you might have guessed, the pasta e fagioli for 2 is going live on the Cookful on Monday as well. So if you're intrigued by that recipe I was telling you about, that can be found on the Cookful as of 2 days from now. So go and look for it there. And you know I'll be telling you about these recipes on the podcast soon as well. If you're looking for the links to any of these recipes that I've talked about, the ones that are already live on the site, I will put in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and look there. You're looking for today's episode, which is the one that went live on October 4th of 2025. The other thing you can always do if you're trying to find recipes that I've mentioned, or if you're just searching for recipes in general and you want to find something that I've done so you know that it's been well tested and that you trust it, while you're in Google or whatever browser you're using to search for recipes, put my full name before what you're searching for and it will come up. So if you want the pasta e fagioli soup, you search for Christine Pittman pasta fagioli soup or pasta bean soup, something like that. It's going to come up. You search for Christine Pittman meatball stroganoff, you will find it there as well. So that's a handy little tip to find recipes by me without having to do a lot of searching and going to show notes or anything like that. Okay, I want to say a big thank you to Becky Hadeed for being an amazing guest. As always, go and check out the Storied Recipe Podcast. You are going to love it. And a big thank you to you for listening. Thank you so much. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great weekend. Let's get cooking.